Hello, beautiful star family, and welcome to our reading today. I am TALLULAH WREN. I'm the magical medium, and today we are going to be doing a collective reading with the Archetypes Oracle deck. Actually, the Wild Unknown Archetypes is the full name. And basically, I just got from Spirit, it's just advice for the upcoming Mercury retrograde season and eclipse season. So we're in the eclipse season right now, like literally 6 more days. We're going to have the full lunar eclipse on the full moon. But right now we just had the first quarter moon yesterday, which is about taking action. And now we're in the waxing gibbous energy, which is also the number 4 balance. Interesting, by the way, in the refine and focus. And I can feel that's what Spirit, I'm going to put that down, that I can feel that's what Spirit wants us to really work with. Refine and focus. So I've already called in our big guns and set up the container. I also called in the healing energies of the universe, whatever is in the greatest and highest good of each one of us. So all you have to say is, I lovingly accept this healing energy and these downloads with grace and gratitude. Ooh, when I looked down, it was 1:31. Oh, that's Baba's death day. Hi, Baba. Baba's here. Baba is here. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. She hasn't been around as much. I can tell she's working. I feel like she's in a body somewhere doing something. Because I like felt her. It's like she like walked with me for like the first year that she passed. And then now it's like she's walking somewhere else, whether in an animal body again or as a human. I got the vibe from her that I don't know if it was her first time being an animal, but I definitely don't think she's been an animal many times. I believe that she, if she's not the true Baba Yaga herself, the energy of her, then she's definitely like some type of form of her, meaning like a really powerful witch. So I feel like they put her in a cat to watch over me, protect me, teach me, I really do. I've just worked with so many animals for so many years. And I used to think I was crazy, or people thought I was crazy when I said I could hear what they were thinking. But now that I know that I wasn't crazy, I could tell you with all confirmation that I have met some pretty incredible creatures and sentient beings, but I have never encountered an animal like Baba. She definitely has been human more than she has been an animal. So, and also why I believe she died the way she did and went the way she did. And just the polarity with my mom dying that year too, and just a lot of stuff. So I want to talk to you guys about the refining and focus of our positive energy, but at the same time, we would be remiss if we didn't discuss the eclipse energy and what is going on with Mercury retrograde. So I feel like they want me to start with the eclipse energy first. We'll get into the cards, but I was really drawn to this. It's in my Astro Cal book, and I don't know if I read it in any of our other things. If I did, then I did, but I don't remember. But I do know that there's predictions in here as well, or at least advice. So I don't feel like they want us to go into the total solar eclipse in August, or the partial lunar eclipse in August, but I do believe that they definitely want me to discuss what just happened with the solar eclipse and what's coming in the lunar eclipse. So it says, eclipses offer us a wonderful visual experience of the interplay between Earth, Sun, and Moon and their cyclical movement. When the new and full moons occur at the points of intersection of the planes of the Sun and Moon as observed from Earth, the 3 heavenly bodies line up such that the Earth or Moon gets in the way of the Sun, temporarily obscuring the light, and we have an eclipse. The points of intersection of the plane of the Sun and Moon are called the lunar nodes and have significance in astrology as being indicators of our life path, where we have come from, which is our South node, and where we are headed, our North node. We move away from the past and carry with us everything we have learned so far as we move towards our destination. which, however well prepared we may be, will remain unknown until we get there. With Earth, Sun, and Moon being in the great life-giving forces of our existence, we can easily see how these three bodies meeting at the lunar nodes can be thought of as a date with destiny, an opportunity to use the temporary darkening of the light to pause and gain deeper insight into our life's journey, its purpose, and its true value. The eclipse season of 2026 starts on February 17th and ends on August 28th. You know what's so interesting? I never looked at it that way. I always looked at it like, I mean, then wouldn't it stand to reckon that the last eclipse season to this eclipse season would be eclipse season? Do you know what I'm saying? I kind of feel like, for me personally, I feel like the 3 weeks going up to it, you know, the few weeks that it's happening and the 3 weeks after it feel like a very, you know, decadent and dense time on many levels. But at the same time, I mean, if that were the case, wouldn't that mean we're always in an eclipse season? What are your thoughts? Feel free to comment below. Is it just me? Am I reading too much into this? But I'm just saying, like, you know, like right now, I'm thinking like we're in eclipse season. I don't know. Please feel free to comment. So we just had the annular solar eclipse, as we know. And it says, this new moon occurs in the morning. Okay, hold on one second. When I threw on my glasses, there must have been like something, a fuzzy or something, because all of a sudden I was like, there's something in my eye. Okay, so we just had the new moon and the solar eclipse. And obviously, you know, we went from the wood snake to the fire horse and all those changes. I don't know about you guys, but I have been a fucking shit show, and we will either discuss it in this episode or they'll have me do a podcast private. I'm not really sure, but I definitely feel like it needs to be talked about because I literally had so many things happen in such a short period of time that I feel like I'm still digesting it. And I've literally like did a podcast, tried to upload it twice, it wouldn't upload, and I was like, oh, you know, Mercury retrograde. But then I was like, no, I'm like, do you want me to delete this? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I kind of felt that, even though it was really good. There were some really good moments, because I was like, should I keep some of it, you know, for shorts or something? And they were like, no, just let it go. But it does help me. 747, I knew we were gonna have angel numbers today. 747, just like the plane. 747. Okay, that's our first angel number today. But it's definitely been a minute, and I feel like maybe they want us to like kind of read this and then talk about it. So the 17th of February 2026 at 7:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the annual solar eclipse, what is it, 28? It's like 28 Aquarius 49. What does that mean, astrologers? This new moon occurs in the morning near the north node in Pisces. Yeah, right. And we also went from Aquarius to Pisces. I mean, fucking crazy. Air to water. Yikes. And I don't mean to be yikes to put fear in. It's more just like a holy shit, you know, like it will be visible from Antarctica, but not the US. With many planets bundled together in the part of the heavens, it may feel like the pressure is on to respond to almost overwhelming demands. Aquarius calls for intentions to be set by a cool and clear mind, yet finding space to pause and clear the mind may be difficult, as there is a strong emotional and undercurrent that is driving the actions required at this time. It may feel confusing as seemingly contradictory demands are made. Believe in the wisdom of insecurity. Yeah, I mean, I kept hearing from a lot of astrologers who are also readers that they were like, this is not the new moon to set intentions on. And I felt that too. I literally went from one extreme to another extreme. Like, it's like I almost feel like I have to go into that mindset to be there. And let me see if Spirit wants me. I don't really want to talk about it right now. Is it in their greatest nights? Good for me to talk about that right now. Okay, I didn't think so. Good. I was gonna say, I'm like, I'm really in this with you guys right now, and I really want to be here. But I mean, were you guys feeling that too? You know, I really understood. I'll tell you what, I really understood what Spirit was saying about us 9:54, and then I saw 9:55. hold on, 9:54 and 9:55. Okay. By the way, I'm writing really weird. Meaning like, do you see my writing? And then I just did that, but then look at that. Look at how it's like, see how this is more upright and now it just went like slanted and kind of, I just know my own writing. That's kind of interesting. I feel like maybe there's, you know, something, about the empaths. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so the title of the podcast was The Independent Empath. And what it was talking about was basically, and I feel like it was almost like Spirit and I working through that so I can talk about it here. Okay, this makes so much sense. Thank you. You know, I'm channeling. I'm channeling, and there's a lot to cover today in a short period of time, so bear with us. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. You know, especially when I'm channeling, it may feel a bit scattered, but it always, you know, kind of makes sense. It's like, you know, if you aren't keeping up, so to speak, or can't keep up, so to speak, it's probably not your message for that moment, or maybe you're not ready to hear it yet. There could be many, many, many things. But I kind of feel like those who get it do, and those who don't, that's okay, right? Like that's the way it's supposed to be. But I realized that this transition was what Spirit was talking about when they were like, you guys, it's not about whether or not we want to live in the third dimensional energy or we want to exist in the fifth dimensional energy. It's about the fact that you literally can't do them at the same time. You can't ride an airplane and ride a train at the same time. It's impossible for your avatar to do that. Not alive, anyway. I know this sounds gross, but you know what I'm saying? So that's what they're saying. It's like, you either are fully in the fifth dimensional energy or you're fully out of it. 12:14. And I think there's something to be said about how no matter how strong we feel or how many times we meditate, clear our energy fields, as empaths right now, they are fucking coming for us. And this is not to put fear into you. This is to put awareness into you. This is serious. Yesterday, that one thing I will say is they did get harsh like this. They were like, no. So I'm going to tell you a short version. So I just wrapped up a house sitting gig. It was really awesome. I'll be posting more pictures and video about it. It was really great. Also was cat sitting Anna. Her name was Anna. And you guys know, those of you who know it, Anna was one of our all-stars on our channel. So I was like, are you kidding? And she's a black cat with gold eyes. Would you kidding? Woo woo, what? And so it was just a really magical experience. And so the day before, I got super grounded. I did a lot of work. I could feel the energy. I stayed alone. The morning of, I was really good. I was packed. Everything was great. I was having a really great time. Alder came to get me. We were laughing. I was showing him around, telling him how to, you know, work things because he was going to stay here while I was there. And all was well. We were on our way to the co-op to pick up some stuff so that I would have fresh food, or the things that I needed anyway. I didn't really bring a lot of the fresh food that I wanted to, but I digress. So what ended up happening was when I got to the co-op, I felt great. When I walked in, not so much. There was an energy in there, 1358, which 1558 is also 13. Ooh. There was an energy in there that was so palpable. And normally, because I know being a telepathic, empathic medium, I have to do certain things when I'm going to the store to protect myself. Angels always got my back, like that's all good. But, you know, I can still feel and see darkness, shadow, you know what I mean? So a lot of times Spirit will say, like, you know, go to bulk foods first, or, you know, go to the, you know, toiletry section, or go to, you know what I mean? And it always works out, you know, whether it's because I needed the peace and quiet to concentrate and shop, or whether I need to talk to somebody or someone needs to talk to me, whatever it is, it's always angelically led. I love it. That's my life. This was different. I went in there and it was like, it was so scattered. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I was so overcome that I didn't realize until I broke a jar filled with liquid aminos. And for those who don't know, liquid aminos is like soy sauce. I was literally filling my jar. I forgot to tear the jar, and it was like there was this whole thing that I still feel like I want to talk about on a more in-depth day, or it'll come up in another story at some point. But the way it happened was so fucking crazy, and it was as if it was like bam, like it just, but it didn't just like fall, it like crashed, because my coat knocked it off. I didn't, I thought it was secure where it was. Like looking back on all of it, it's like it all makes sense the way it was supposed to happen. And it smashed, and it was like the needle on the record. It was lunchtime. Like, it's just like that thing you don't want to happen, And, I love playing like the good fairy. I love bringing the medicine, but I do not like to bring the shadow. I do not like to inject, certain energies. And so I proceeded to have a meltdown in the grocery store, and finally cried when I felt like I needed permission. Not that I was asking for it, but I guess I was. But one of the workers there, I've been going there for 2 years. They all know me. I go there once a week. I work with my pendulum. I spoke to them, almost all of them, at least once individually, if not several times. Some of them, like I knew them outside of there before I worked there. Or I worked there. Ooh, Freudian slip. Before I started going there. I did work at a co-op in Yelm, but not in this one in Port Townsend. But anyway, so it was fucking crazy. It was like the entire fucking grocery store went, it was like, it went from like crazy energy, people scattering here. Oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, I got to get this done, blah, blah, blah. And Alder and I were very wise. We do our best to not go, I'm the type of person that likes to go in the middle of the day or early in the morning, like during the week when kids are at school, like that kind of thing. I'm not someone who goes, on a Friday or a Saturday or, in the middle of the day or at lunchtime during the week. So this was Tuesday at lunchtime. We had just literally passed the torch from the wood snake to the fire horse. You know what I mean? Like the new moon, the eclipse, like all of that was happening. And I swear to you on all that is holy, I know now, like I was meant to do that. That was meant to happen. It was kind of insane. I'm not gonna lie. And it went on for a while, 1746. So I get in the car and I'm a total fucking wreck. I was a wreck. From that moment forward, I was a wreck. And I was like, oh fuck, I left my phone in the car and I had my list on it, and I was like, son of a bitch, because I had packed certain things, and then I was like, I only needed specific things, and I was just so scattered. I wasn't myself. Got in the car with Alder. I'm telling him, and I start crying again, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, that to bring this energy in the car. And I said, I'm so glad, we have a half an hour to drive so I can decompress from this energy, so I don't bring this to the cat in the house. And, I was so excited for this. Right? Can you hear it? Let's take a breath. I'm going to ring a bell. It was intense. And as I'm starting to finally decompress and start laughing because, 1848, because Alder's like, dude, he's like, it's okay. He's like, it's crazy out there right now. I was like, I know. He said, do you think it was because of the Trump dude? And I was like, what? He's like, you didn't see the guy with the MAGA hat? And I said, no. I mean, I'm sure there are people that shop there, but usually we only see that like in tourist season. This is off season, but it's been really nice. The weather's been really, really abnormally beautiful here. Spring is here, by the way. The robin showed up yesterday. She came to greet me at my door or at my window. Hi, sweet Wren. Oh, my babies. Hi, you guys. And birds just came to visit me as I said that. Hi, you guys. So spring is early and the energy is intense and like the world is moving faster. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to end up in like a new calendar of some kind. I mean, seriously, like things are shifting and changing. And I felt it on an energetic level in so many ways. Seriously, feel free to comment below and share your stories. It was intense. So I said, I don't know, dude. And he goes, well, he walked out after you know, he walked out while you were in there. He's like, that's why I asked. And I said, that's so crazy. I don't know. I said, I don't know. So I don't know if that's why it felt like that. I don't know if people were on high alert because, you know, our co-op in the area that we live in, yeah, of course there's Republicans and stuff up here, but it's a very like more of a liberal lefty area. It's like very open, gay pride flags, like people are very, you know, be who you are. Like one of our co-op workers has a full beard and long hair, and some days he even said it this way, he dresses like a man, and some days he just likes to dress up like a woman. So some days he's there in a dress and but no makeup or anything. He just, it's him, and he just likes to wear a dress. And some days he likes, and nobody, we all love him, you know what I mean? So it's just very interesting, you know. So, you know, it's palpable. And then I finally released it, whatever, went to the house, you know, worked on stuff there. I feel like that's a whole other story too, decompressed. And then the day I was leaving, I had asked Alder if he wanted to come a little bit earlier and enjoy the mornings, because the mornings there were super magical with the sunrise. And, you know, she's facing east on the water. So it's on the Puget Sound. And it's just so magical with the mountains, especially when it's clear. You can see the Cascades and Mount Baker and Mount Rainier, and it's just super magical. And not to mention like the eagles and the hummingbirds, and it's just really magical. And so I was excited because I thought, you know, we've been trying to reconnect, and long story short, he rejected the offer, and I was like, all right, that's fine. I know he's been working a lot. Maybe he just wants to sleep in. That's cool. But then when he got there, I just kind of could feel like he just wanted to like be like, okay, let's go, you know. And I told him what time I wanted to leave. So he told me he was going to be there an hour before I had scheduled to leave. So I thought, oh, maybe he just wants to, you know, whatever. But it was weird. It was like he helped me with a few chores that I needed, and cutting some more wood because I used the fireplace a lot when I was there. And then I didn't see him, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I look, and he's like sitting in the car, and I was like, dude, why would you sit in the car when you could? It was gorgeous out. I'm like, go down by the water, like go sit out on the deck. And, you know, it was just bizarre. And I was like, I don't even know you, dude. It was just weird. And so, I finished cleaning the house, said goodbye to the cat, locked up, packed up my last stuff. And as I'm about to like shut the door, my glass water bottle drops from underneath my arm and smashes everywhere, just like the grocery store. Bam. Sorry, I know that was aggressive, but that's how they're like. And all of a sudden, everything I was feeling, everything I was thinking, it just like came out, and I could tell it was meant to. And I just started crying, and I was just like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm like, why don't you want to spend time with me? I'm like, one minute you do, then the next minute you don't. And I was like, I'm like this teeter totter. I'm like, you've got to get a hold of, you know, your emotions. And it was a very intense conversation. I ended up like crying so hard that I was almost like shaking. And I got in the car, and, you know, I had to go back in the house and get the stuff. I had to clean it up. I was really upset because the cat's indoor, outdoor, and I was like, you know, scouring for glass. And then I was like, did I get all the glass? And I was, you know, it was just like this weird thing. It was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized, because Alder is so intertwined still in the third dimensional energy, it's like, I see glimpses of him in the fifth dimensional energy, and I know that he knows, but he still hasn't shed that part of him. And so when we're together, it's now becoming like this friction and this very uncomfortable energy. You know, I just spent days in this house, you know, also feeling this beautiful woman who's going through one of the hardest times in her life, and was so grateful I can hold space for her and be there for the cat and play with the cat. And, you know, I was blessed enough to lose myself, you know, even if just for a little while, in my own energy, in this beautiful grace. I mean, the second morning I woke up, there were literally 2 eagles above the tree. I have video of it. Then these huge, massive ravens, the eagles flew across, and then they went on their way, and I was like, wow, that was so crazy. And then I turned around, and I had put my phone down, and long story short, when I went back and turned around again, these ravens, these two ravens flew in front of the sun too. It was the beautiful morning sunrise. It was so magical. And then these hummingbirds were like flying around my head, and I just felt it. And then the night I got there and the night I left, the seals came to visit me. Like the night I left, there was so many of them. It was crazy. I'm like, hi, you guys. It was like my friends, you know. And the porpoise came to visit me, and it's like, I just have this connection, you know. But when I'm around people who are angry, hateful, lying, holding on to these like old energies, it's almost like I rub up against them. And you guys may be getting this too, you know. Our mirrors are so big now. They're so clear and so strong. We cannot avoid it. 2533. We can't avoid who we are. We can't stop who we are. And we can't hide in the shadows with these people who are refusing to see the light. And that's what happened. That's why it was so jarring being at the store, because, you know, there are a handful of people on the planet right now that really understand what's happening. And then there are other people who want to believe that something's happening. And so their energy is good and it's a high vibration. But then we've got these other like forms that, you know, kind of go in the middle all the way to the dark ends of the shadow, where they either don't believe in it at all, or they are so full of anger and rage and hate, and they're stuck in the third dimensional energy, and they're stuck in the matrix. You know, I watched this thing with Kathy Griffin. A spirit calls me to. I'll put it in the description box. You can love her or not like her or whatever. And I try not to gossip or talk about other people or even watch that. But I was really drawn to watch this, and I was drawn. I didn't even know she had a YouTube channel till months ago, and then spirit drew me to subscribe to her. And I'm so glad, because I feel like she's really trying to show the world like what's really going on right now. And it's just really powerful. But anyway, there was some huge things there. But one of the things was she's traveling for, you know, she's working as a comedian, and she said she was in Canada, and she's like, you know, it's so crazy because all the news in Canada is about America and ice and how fucked up it is. And this is happening all over the world. So we're seeing now, I mean, I didn't watch it. I probably will never watch it unless spirit calls me to, but in real time, you know, today is the 24th, the 25th. Why do I keep saying that? Today's the 24th, because yesterday was oh my gosh, today's the 25th. Yesterday was the 24th, but it was also the State of the Union address, a full year into the presidency. And it's fucking crazy, because in that year, the United States president has like ripped open every fucking scab, every wound, pulled back the, you know, exposed, you know, everything. And it's a matter of time. Karma never loses an address. But divine timing and karma work together. Just like, you know, it's like divine timing's all of our boss, right? So karma's coming. She comes for us all when the time is right, you know? And I've been having my own moments, you know? We are here in human form. We are light workers, earth angels, whatever you identify with. But at the same time, don't get it fucking twisted, you guys. We can't get it fucking twisted. We are still human here. We still were raised by humans. And a lot of us raised by full-on muggles, you know? Some magical muggles, but living in the full-on matrix. And we're still going through a shedding of that. And it's going to perpetuate for a while. So that's why they wanted to talk to us today, because this came up. I asked Spirit if they had any messages for me the other day. The thoughts I choose to believe right now are forming my experiences. I now listen to what I say and do not say anything that I do not want to become true for me. This is real. That's the fifth dimensional energy speaking into being. It may not happen today, tomorrow, next year, but when the time is right, it will. Oh gosh, you guys, my throat chakra is so tight right now. On the back, it says, everything I do is a choice. So I am in control of my reality. We have to keep changing it up. And when we have those moments of doubt, when we have those moments of, because I'm not going to lie, you guys, I had something come to me, some information. I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, because I know it was meant to happen, but I've been given information that I can't not know. And it absolutely affects the way I think. And it affects my experiences. And I realized it today. So after that water thing broke, Alder and I go for a drive. We're on our way to the laundromat, which I never go on a Friday or a Friday afternoon, but the way his schedule was and the way things were going, I was like, you know what? I don't have any clean bedding. I don't have, whatever. She had a washer and dryer, but it was like a super small one, and it just wasn't worth it. Plus, I spent so much time on Tuesday, like cleaning and like reorganizing and like, doing things for the house, that by the time the next day came around, I was like my other full day there, I literally was like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm going to the laundromat. But I knew I was meant to go. So we go through all these things that at some point I'll tell you guys about. But then when we get to the laundromat, I was still crying, and I said, I need to, when we pulled up, we saw there were workers on top, and I was like, is it even open? And then I saw that people were doing laundry, and I was like, oh, I guess it's open. He's like, yeah, they're probably just working on the roof or whatever. I was like, okay. So we drive away, come back like a half an hour later, and as we're like unloading at the laundromat, they were doing something like where it was like styrofoam or something. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't good. It was like little pieces of white toxic shit were like flying everywhere. And we're like, what the fuck? And then we realized that the laundromat was open, but like no one was working there that day. And it was just like, it was shut down. It was so weird. You could use the machines, but there was no heat on. There was no music going. There was no lights. Like, it was bizarre. So I said, I'm not doing laundry here. And then we started to drive away, and I started to cry again. And I was just like, something is going on. The energy is so intense. Can you feel it? I'm like, I can't, I feel like I can't walk away from it. I can't run away from it. Like, it's so fucking real. Cut to, we end up at this other laundromat, one I've never been to, and I've never been there just because it had a really bad reputation for multiple things. And not that I go by reputations, but the people who told me about it are people that I know or have known for a while now, and they know me enough to know that like, it just wouldn't be a good fit for you, is what I always got. And I was like, okay, you guys, from the time everything started, I can't even get into that right now either. Let's just put it this way. You guys know I jokingly and lovingly refer to as Southside Chicago Kelly, which is when my shadow comes out. It was like, it went from having a heated debate and conversation to like, I literally was like shaking. So I'm like, are we going to get in a fist fight? Is this lady and I going to get in a fist fight? I was like, what the fuck? Because Southside Chicago Kelly was like, yep, yep, you are a liar. I'm like, you are lying. And I was like, what the fuck? So I end up leaving. I get banned from the laundromat, which was okay, because you know what? I don't ever want to go there again anyway, right? But then over time, it's been almost a week now, and I realized just how much that person and I were supposed to come together. And as an empath, how much of the negative, dark energy I took on from this laundromat and all these people. It was fucking crazy. It was crazy. There was a Heyoka there. And if you guys don't know what a Heyoka is, research it. It's Heyyoka. But they're healers, and he's from the South, from Georgia. And we just had this like really cool conversation, and an interesting and enlightening conversation. And also I felt very loved because he trusted me to tell me some really personal things. And, and it was like, people always go, I don't know why I'm telling you these things. And then when I tell them what I am, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, So yeah, it was like, it was fucking crazy. It was just crazy. The energy was just intense and fucking crazy. So then I have spent the last several days trying to figure it out. And as much as I don't like it, breaking the water bottle, it was like Alder and I had to have that like wake up moment, being at the laundromat and like all of these people witnessing this woman and I having this like really fucking insane like yelling match with each other. I was like, who the fuck am I? I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, talk about squeezing the end of the toothpaste. I always, or I don't always, but I use that analogy a lot with us, 34, 44, and then 45. 34, 44, and 3. 40, 45. Now, you guys, only if the angel number calls to you. I will put them in the, always look in the description box. If you'd like to contribute, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one or any of that, I work on a sliding scale too. So never be afraid to ask, or never be afraid to think, you know, I don't have enough, or I don't, you know, we will always work it out, you know, especially if it feels meant to be. I mean, I've had that happen. I can't tell you guys how many times I've read for people and they're like, I don't have the money right now. I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And then like $100 like shows up in my account. It happens a lot. So, you know, it's all good. Anyway, so there's always that stuff in there, and more information about me if you want to know more about me and what I do and what I am. And then also like links to certain things that we speak about in here. I always go back and edit and put them in. So if you, the angel numbers will definitely be in there. You may have written it down already, or maybe you paused this and went to look at it. If you were really drawn to it, go do it. Go do it. That's your higher self talking to you. Listen to that. So with that being said, I realized in a span of from Tuesday to Friday, I had so much interaction with the 3D world. And I didn't like the way I showed up. However, I loved the way I showed up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, let's put it this way. Yesterday, I was like apologizing to Alder too, because like he had to deal with so much of my nuttiness over that week. But at the same time, you know, that was the whole point, like when we were together. And that's what I was crying to him about. I'm like, wherever two of them are gathered. So he and I actually did really well together. I helped keep him in his love flow, and he helped keep me grounded in my shadow. And, you know, we would talk things through. So it was really interesting. But anyway, I said to him, I was like, well, I'm banned from the laundromat. But when I was like, I don't know, well, Southside Chicago, Kelly's banned from the laundromat. If she knew TALLULAH WREN, she would love TALLULAH and let her hang out, I'm sure. Because her dog came to me too, and I was just like, what is happening? I'm like, why is this dog? Because it started with a dog. I mean, it literally progressed where we had like all these encounters that just like progressed into this like insane, and both of our egos were just like, you know, sparring. But, you know, I said to Alder, I said, I feel like I want to write like a handwritten note and be like, anybody who is at this place at this time, at this date, and definitely to the owner, I just want to apologize. That was out of character for me. It was a rough day, a rough week, and I apologize. You know, I seriously was told Alder I want to do that, but we'll see what Spirit wants me to do. But I also felt like Spirit was like, no, sometimes Southside Chicago Kelly, that's why she was, you know, it's like that shadow part of me that's like, you're lying. I don't know why. I don't know what you're lying about. There's something that you're lying about. And I'm a human bullshit barometer. But at the same time, I was really upset about it because I'm like, but I'm also an empath. And, you know, if I take on other people's energy, you know, I can become really unstable. So I'm still even like, I've gone through this on all different ways. And feel free, as my fellow mediums and seers, like if anything comes through for you, let me know what you think. I mean, let's put it this way. I definitely could have handled it differently and definitely could have handled it better. But then I don't know, because sometimes Spirit has me talk to people a certain way because that's how they're going to hear it. You know what I mean? Like that's how they hear it. Sometimes people don't want to hear the love. They don't want to hear the goodness. So now, now that we spoke about the shadow and the darkness, I want to talk about, hold on. Oh my gosh, you guys, I thought I hit unpause and I didn't. That's so fucking crazy. I just like said so much and I looked up and I was like, wow, that's really like suspended there for a minute. So listen to this. So the total lunar eclipse is going to happen on the 3rd of March at 6:34 a.m. Hold on one second, you guys. Okay, let's drink some water. All right, 3937, angel number 3937 and 3938. Okay. So I don't know where I left off now because I literally was going for quite some time. So I apologize if I say the same things over and over, but, or I don't know exactly where I left off, because when I'm channeling and doing stuff and then I go off into these realms, I literally, like when I go back and edit it, sometimes I'm like, why didn't I remember that? And it's like, because I'm channeling. So anyway, with that being said, I'm just going to jump into total lunar eclipse because I think that's where I started with you guys again. But yeah, it's just really powerful what's going on right now. So on the 3rd of March at 6:34 a.m., we will have the total lunar eclipse, and it's going to be the full moon in Virgo. So on this, it says 12 and then Virgo 53. So I don't know if that's like talking about degrees of like things, you know, I'm not an astrologer. I do my best. But anyway, it says this eclipse reaches its maximum in New York when the full moon is setting. The sun in Pisces close to the north node makes a harmonious aspect to Jupiter along with Mercury, ruler of the moon in Virgo and the south node. Our instincts are telling us that there is much that needs tidying up both on the practical as well as the emotional level. It is much like a spring cleaning of the inner psyche, so we can see the path ahead much more clearly, even if it means facing up to the human suffering we may encounter on the way. Our willingness to see and feel the pain will be the part of the solution and healing we may be seeking. Wow, you guys, this is so intense. So this full moon is going to be no joke. That's why they wanted to talk to us about it, you know, during this eclipse energy. And this full moon, it's a big one. Also, they wanted me to remind us that, you know, Mercury is, Mercury affects us the most because it's the closest planet to the Earth, and it rules our communication, our intellect, information, internal dialogue, and analyzation of ourselves and others. While on the flip side of that, on the polar opposite, you know, because Mercury rules Gemini and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and they're each other's opposites. Jupiter is the ruling planet of luck, faith, belief, fate, philosophy, and adventure, but it's also the biggest planet. So it's very exciting that we are going to, you know, I feel like they're kind of telling us that have faith and believe in luck and fate and divine timing and all that, that this Mercury retrograde, you know, the communication, the intellect, the information, the internal dialogue, all those things, like they're going to come together in a harmonious aspect. Because it says the sun in Pisces close to the north node makes a harmonious aspect to Jupiter along with Mercury, ruler of the moon in Virgo and the south node. And as we know, the moon is about our emotions, our senses, our intuition, instincts, and the unconscious. And when the full moon is in Virgo, we have to remember too, we're still in the Pisces energy, in the Pisces season, which is water, and that's emotions. So they want us to really, that's why they spoke about the thoughts I choose to believe right now are forming my experiences. And I'm going to bring this deck out. So there's a lot happening and they just want us to stay focused. Also, this was inside. So, oh, love, beauty, and planet. I feel like somebody needs these messages. And crafted and curated for the creative spirit. You guys know that we have been getting these messages from spirit for a while now. Art that inspires and empowers. Maybe this is a good time for you guys to, you know, work on your art, you know, work on the things that make you, things that like make you feel beautiful and as sparkly as this, you know, crystal. But also getting outside and connecting with the earth. Because wow, that just like stuck in there. I really wanted to be there, you know, because that's a big part of it as well. So let's see if we have any messages from the archetypes deck. So the thoughts I choose to believe right now are forming my experiences. I now listen to what I say and do not say anything that I do not want to become true for me. One of the reasons why I got so fucking batshit with Alder is because I was just like, I'm like, it's getting to the point I can't even be around you. Like, I understand why spirit wants, I want him to go to Hawaii with me, but I was like, not, I feel like my parents that are like, do you want to go? And you're like, yes. And you're crying and throwing a fit. And they're like, we're not going with that attitude. That's kind of how I feel like right now. It's like, you know, we can't straddle the worlds anymore, you guys. We got to like 50, 44, 30. We have to pick it up. We got to pick it up. We got to pick up our bootstraps. And, you know, they're not saying we're not going to go through shit or we're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to happen. But what they're saying is, you know, if we feed into that energy, it's like, then what did we come here to do? Why are we here? Oh shit, you guys, come on. I fucking pulled the bridge after I just said that. 38, which is also the number 11. So the bridge. The bridge. I feel like this wants to go down a little bit to the shadow. And, you know, and I kind of feel like what they're saying is like, yeah, you know, like, we are the bridge between the two worlds, but we can't, oh, you guys, I just opened right up to it. But we can't live in both worlds. You know, if someone in the third dimensional energy is coming to you for real healing and real, you know what I mean? Yes, of course, you know, and you'll be there and you'll help them and you'll hold their hand. But, you know, it's like, but where you live, where you work, where you know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, my co-op, we're not perfect little angels there, but I would say, you know, even Alder said it's probably at least like 80-20, that 80% of the people that shop there are probably lefty or like Democrat, or, you know what I mean? Or like care about people. I mean, we have like jars at the front of the store, you know, where when you bring your own bag, it's like you can either get a credit for your bag or you can get a bean. And then the bean goes, you know, for every 8 cents for the bag, they put towards different charities. And some they keep all the time, like the food bank, but then they switch them up. You know, Save the Owls or whatever. You know, it's like, that's my store. My store is not, people are not like the Trump supporters with flags like coming in with MAGA hats. That's just not our people. It's just, I've never seen it. I'm not saying that they can't eat healthy. I'm just saying that, you know, there's a Safeway there too. You know, we have a small town, but it's not like we're in the middle of nowhere. You can drive a half an hour or 45 minutes to an hour and get into any big box store you can pretty much think of, you know? So it's like, yeah, it's like, it's odd. That's not natural, you know? Anyway, so the bridge, the connection, the link, the gate. Bridges are built to connect two worlds. They create flow, allowing us to travel between realms, ideologies, personalities. Yet this archetype is the gesture of acceptance, of saying yes rather than withdrawing, separating, and saying no. When we cross a bridge to an unknown land, we are led magically into a new reality. We open up to otherness. Healing and communication are made possible. We enter a state of curiosity, wonder, and learning. The shaman, for example, creates the bridge between the everyday world and the sacred. This card asks us to study the connections between the seemingly disconnected parts of our life, our relationships, ideologies, histories, and remember that a bridge can't be forced. It must be made with love, or its structure will not withstand the inevitable weather of life. That's interesting. So when we're in light, we're in acceptance and magic and communication. But when we're in shadow, we're lacking boundaries and forcing connection. So to go deeper, it says, the burning rainbow bridge of Norse mythology. I don't know how to pronounce that, but if you guys want to check it out. Also, it's on page 139, which is the number 13, which is also the number 4, which is the bridge. I wonder if she did that on purpose. That's so interesting. And today's the 25th, so that's 7, and then February is 2, that's 9, and then 2026 is a 1. So it comes out to a 10. So I feel like, you know, we're at the end of, you know, this old world, and they're like, you've got to start somewhere, even if it's just small little steps. You guys, we have to do small steps every single day to keep us in line with our higher vibration, with the love energy, to connect to our deep soul energy, to remember who we are, where we come from. You know, I mean, I cried, you guys. I literally cried for 2 days after that fight with that lady, because I was so embarrassed and ashamed and humiliated by the way I acted. Now, obviously, over time, I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven her. You know what I mean? And the reason why I cried is because I know I could have handled it all differently. But it was such an intense week and such an intense energy. And after that thing with Alder, I should have handled things differently, but I just didn't. And that's when Spirit's like, because you're human. You're human here. She pushed you too far. And it was like, because the languaging she was using reminded me of like the way I was bullied when I was younger. It was crazy, you guys. So we definitely like held space for each other for whatever needed to transpire. And it was interesting because most of people in that laundromat were men, and men like between like 35 and like 65. and all of the men heads were down. There was like one younger woman there, and she was just like, she was on the other side. I couldn't see her, but I could feel her energy because we had a cool conversation before that. And they were probably a little shocked because before that happened, I'd been there for quite some time talking to all these different people, you know, the Heyoka and I had such a great time. He's like, do you want to go smoke a joint with me? And I was like, and because I was like, why didn't I just go smoke that joint with him? I probably would have mellowed out and like things would have been better. I'm like, why? And I was just trying to control it. And they're like, but what if you were meant to be there? What if all of those people were meant to witness that and meant to see that you're not perfect and that you're human and that, like, you know, but anyway, that's my story. But, you know, if I'm just saying, if things have been taking place that aren't normal for you and you're quote unquote normal, or if it's on a descent energy when you've been trying so hard to stay in the ascension energy, don't be hard on yourself. Spirit wants us to just breathe in. It's hard, especially for the empaths. So if you can, stay away from people, places, and things that are going to trigger you in ways that are like, let's put it this way. I thought I'd healed a lot of that stuff. So clearly the triggers were there to help me. So that's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing is like, I feel like I still need to really digest it. And if I knew her, I wish I could just be like, you know, let's go talk and, you know, and talk it out. And because it was so gross and so vile, and because I would never, you know, look, I mean, I love beauty, and you guys know me, like, you guys know me, you know what I mean? Like, that's an old version of me that was like, I don't even, you know, my ego, thinking I knew better, trying to control, you know, whatever, thinking I'm supposed to be fighting for all these people, you know, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? It was just really interesting. So you may be seeing sides of yourself that need to be to the surface right now because they need to be seen and they need to be heard. So this says, for a practice to help us with this bridge energy, it says, lie on the floor and listen to Bridge Over Troubled Water, you guys. Oh my gosh. I had my phone. I was listening to this song that I'm learning right now, but I was listening to this artist. And then my favorite song is, I always said I always wanted Bridge Over Troubled Water to be played at my funeral. And, but I want like the live version from Simon and Garfunkel. But it's interesting because every time I hear the Elvis version, because my dad was like a huge Elvis fan, and my dad's birthday is coming up on Saturday. So be prepared for my Lula's Labyrinth, people. I got a lot of cool, fun Elvis things I'm doing. Some sad, some fun, but just some tributes to my dad, because I've been working with my parents a lot on the other side and my ancestors. And I really encourage you to do the same. Meditate every day, you guys. Talk to spirit every morning when you wake up, before you go to sleep. Stay away from your phone for at least, you know, like turn your phone off and like keep it away from your bed. If you're starting to fall asleep, like put your phone away. You know, I mean, I've been getting these vibes from spirit. Don't look at your phone right away in the morning. You know, drink water, breathe, you know, go to the bathroom, open the, you know, door even, or the window, and take in some fresh air, even if it's cold, you know, just to like kind of wake up your body, do some stretches, but connect with yourself. That's how we bring the love to beauty and planet. That's how we craft and curate the fucking creative spirit and the most beautiful souls. And that's how we bring the art that inspires and empowers, by the thoughts that we choose, our experiences. Look at that handout in the rainbow. But we can't give what we don't have. So we can't, if we keep depleting ourselves and trying to replenish ourselves and going out there. I know for myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I'm fucking exhausted. But at the same time, I know I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. But anyway, that was just really crazy for me, you guys. I'm sorry to sidebar, but I really had, not sorry. Because I only listened to like maybe 10 songs, and that was one of them. So to me, that's kind of intense. There's a million songs in the world, right? So lie on the floor and listen to Bridge Over Troubled Water. Notice the ease and acceptance within the melody, the feeling of rising above the muck. Oh, I'm sailing right behind. The lyrics are, sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, when darkness falls. And something like faith is right. And faith is nowhere to be found, or something. So listen to the words. There's an Elvis version, the Simon and Garfunkel. I'm sure there's a lot of versions of it. Whatever one you're drawn to, please do this practice. It'll make you cry, but I want you to cry. Spirit wants you to cry. It's a good release practice, but really listen to the words and thinking of yourself. Oh, I'm starting to cry because it's a very emotional song. Okay. Anyway, so also I cried in the grocery store. I felt like I had to have permission. Not that I needed the permission, because I always tell you guys to be yourself. And if you have to cry in the middle of like whatever, just do it. And I was holding back because it was just so crazy, like the needle on the record. And it was just, I just never do things like that. And then all of a sudden, like one of the co-op workers who I love and is really sensitive like me, and her daughter is like a telepathic medium like me, and we've had some great conversations, and she just looked at me and she's like, you can cry. Like she saw it welling up, and I was like, and I just like fucking bawled. I just started crying. She's like, she's like, you hold too much for everybody. You don't have to do that. You guys don't, we don't have to do that. We can give it to spirit. Okay? So right now, you're doing good just being here, just by having breath in your lungs. But we have to try every day because they need us now more than ever, you guys. I saw so much ugliness last week. It was hard. It was gross. From me too. You know, the fact that I felt like we were fighting, you know, with like weapons, but we were using our energy and our words and our ego. And it was just so it was so overdone and didn't need to go that far. But at the same time, it did, because we agreed to that in some way. I can say, oh, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have done that, or why didn't I listen, or whatever. But I just, you know, I was compelled. Just like I was compelled to yell at her and like have that and like call her out on her bullshit. I just like, I couldn't take it. So anyway, this says, imagine building a bridge. Then imagine building a wall. Which energy is needed for the situation at hand? Which image softens and heals the heart? Right? It's like, do we want to close the door, or just basically they're saying like, do we want to build a bridge and set boundaries? And, you know, because we can't just be like, okay, you're stuck in the third dimensional energy. Bye-bye. You know, what was that movie where like, you know, the rich people, Jodie Foster was like the president, right? And they like, Earth had become so gross that they had to build like, you know, this other existence, you know, on this spaceship that was like Earth-esque or Earth-like or whatever. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Or a planet or something? I saw it once, like a long time ago. Anyway, and like Earth had become like this really gross place, and it's like it was either one or the other. And I feel like Spirit's saying, no, that's just a movie. Like the whole point is that we are the bridge between the 3D and the 5D, but we have to embrace and live in the 5D all the time. You know, like that's where we live. But like if we go to the grocery store or we go somewhere, obviously, you know, people are still in the third dimensional energy. You know, obviously 5744, lots of angel numbers today. But, you know, Spirit's saying like, I'm sailing right behind. This is on the bottom. They're like, don't put yourself in a box. As empaths, we have to learn to work with our feelings. You know, we're going to feel what we're going to feel, but we also can't go by our emotions. You know, I mean, I let that escalate. I was angry, and then angry, then angry, then angry, then angry. Because I'd never been to that laundromat, and there was all these things, and I had to rewash clothes, and the dryer kept eating my money, and I was just like getting pissed, and I was just like getting really frustrated, you know, with this owner. And I was just like, listen, you know, we all got to fucking do our part. But, you know, anyway, and I was gossiping, and she caught me gossiping, and she was right. She was right to fucking call me out. We both were right to call each other out, but at the same time, neither one of us handled it well. And I don't really know them, you know, just because other people spoke badly of them doesn't mean, you know, whatever. But you know, and I don't want to say anything anymore out of turn, because I love them, and I know that all was meant to be. So, you know, but we really, in this Mercury retrograde, you guys, we really need to slow down. We need to slow down more than we've ever slowed down in our entire lives. We need to say no to certain things and yes to other things. Yes to things that feel good, no to things that don't. No explanation needed. Do we want any cards from here? You know, and not feeling like we owe people, because I'm getting this vibe from Spirit that, you know, as empaths and sensitives, a lot of people, especially people who are working from a narcissistic energy, someone isn't a narcissist, they're just employing narcissistic energy. None of us are born, you know, evil or narcissists or whatever. Maybe, I mean, some people disagree with me on that, but I don't believe so. I believe that it happens over time, and I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And sometimes I can't believe 54 years went by in a blink of an eye. And then other times I look at, like, you know, like my mom and dad were showing me today, just like, you know, my dad and I both, like, in a different world, I would have gone with my dad instead of my mom. If I knew then what I know now, I would have went to live with my dad and my brother. But I wasn't meant to live with my dad and my brother. I was meant to live with my sister and my mom, which my sister didn't live with us very long because she was almost 5 years older than me, and she ended up getting her own place. I was, you know, 12, 13 years old. She was like 17, 18. And, you know, and things just, we didn't bond, or, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, I felt so abandoned. But I know now, looking back on it, that's the way it was supposed to be. I had to become this person. I wouldn't have been able to do that with my dad. And I think if my dad and I did play music together, and if we did, you know, whatever, like, it would have been different. You know what I mean? So the sustainer, number 24, which is also the number 6. You guys, you know, my phone's in that thing right now. So if it runs out, I apologize, and I'll see you at the next reading. Thank you for being here. It always ends where it's supposed to end anyway. But I'm not gonna, you know, unless they have me, sometimes they have me do like a shorts, you know, like and then it's cool because it brings people to the channel. So however it goes, it goes. So if you're new here, I'm just telling you that. But there's always a link in the description box, so it'll be in the shorts. So the sustainer, the peacemaker, the upholder, the preserver, the sustainer, the second archetype in the trio of existence, works behind the scenes, tending to the tasks of life. They cultivate gardens, pay bills, keep the meals warm, and the mouth sweetly fed. The sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there's no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. They have a natural inclination to nourish others, to archive, to preserve Earth's resources, to consider environmental impact, to see their role in the divine cycle of life. It's common for the sustainer to become overworked, leading to resentment. Their tasks aren't glamorous, and therefore the sustainer rarely receives the credit or attention. The sustainer longs to hold things in place so badly, especially in relationships, that they resist necessary change. Take time with this archetype, sweet soul. It is within us all and needs our love. Yes, where are you overgiving, overhelping? You know, I've been noticing that with myself too. Only give when you can. Do not give when you're depleted, okay? When we're in light, we're abundant, generous, supportive, and reliable. But when we're in shadow, we're overworked and resentful, trapped, and tired. So work to go deeper. Work with Lakshmi, Vishnu, and Demeter. And it's on 103. Oh no, it's at 109. But that's still, oh, that's 10. They were bringing my mind to it, because today is a 10 day. 10s are about a completion. You take off the 0, it's a 1. It's new beginnings. And that's what they're trying to show us. Like, we're at the beginning of new beginnings. Okay, so it's going to take a minute. And it's going to feel uncomfortable for a minute, but we are fully in this 5th dimensional energy. They're the ones, it's a 3rd dimensional energy that are still living in like this false world that doesn't exist. So take note of the difference between maintaining and sustaining. Which action describes your life more accurately? Contemplate what truly sustains you. Make a list. Notice how simple yet powerful those things are, and spend some time tending to them. Okay? I feel like they're pushing me. Okay, do we have any more messages? Or do you want me to read anything else? Or do we want to pull any more cards? Are we done? Okay, those are our messages for today, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and the world. But remember to also pull back, especially for those of you who work with people, or who, like myself, like I'm online, I'm working online a lot. And so we have to remember to replenish our energy. Just have quiet. Don't even have music on. Don't have the TV on. Just have quiet, you know? Especially if you live in a house with other people, take advantage when it is quiet. Get earbuds if you need them, or headphones or something. But I'm hearing that our keeping in our own personal energy fields is going to be so important, because we are the givers, and we are the sustainers right now. We're holding that energy, right? Like, we're the bridge. So we have to be mindful. We don't have the luxury to just say what we want and do what we want. And trust me, I've been saying this to Spirit lately. I'm like, I work so hard, like kind of like the me, you know, and I realize I'm like, I'm not a fucking victim. You know what I mean? I'm not a victim. None of us, we're not victims, you guys. We are not victims. We chose this. Remember that we chose this. We are the crafted and curated. We're crafted and curated for the creative spirit. We're creative. We're earth angels. We're light workers. But we're also human, so we can only hold so much energy, and you must honor your avatar. Your avatar is begging for you to honor it and take care of it and watch over it and love it. 1455 is our last angel number. 1455. 1455. All right, you guys. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. Also, if you haven't seen the latest pick reading, I'll put a link in the description box. It was really good. It was messages you need to hear from Spirit right now. But only if you're drawn to it. If you're not, don't make it your story. Also, there's going to be a lot of shorts coming out. I'm going to be doing a lot of spirit work. There's a lot more stuff happening over the next month. But in the next few weeks, you guys, especially Mercury's going retrograde tomorrow. We're still in the eclipse season. Go slow. Take it easy. Breathe. Meditate. Relax. I can't say these things enough. We love you. Until next time, blessed be. Aho. Take good care of yourselves and each other.